Hello, lovely souls. Video 5 of your spiritual boot camp. You made it to the end. So I'm just going to wrap up all these things that we've been talking about that are designed to quickly and effectively reconnect you to your spirit. And I always say reconnect. Well, sometimes I say connect, but know that if I say connect, it's a reconnect. Okay, you are not separate from your spirit, really, ever, truly. But we do forget that we have a spirit, that we are spiritual beings. And so we don't make that conscious effort, we don't stay conscious of that to allow for us to feel the connection. So it really is a process of reconnecting and then staying connected, maintaining connection. Will we feel it in every moment all the time? No, because of course we are here in human form, having human experiences, and being on the earth plane at this time is very intense. There's a lot of dense energy, there's a lot of frantic and frenetic energy, there's a lot of distractions. There are a million ways in a given day that we have our focus and our attention diverted from our spirit. So just reconnecting, just think of it as I'm reconnecting, I'm reconnecting. I'm not separate from spirit. I just sometimes focus my energy and my attention in other directions. So reconnecting is what you're going for. Here's an idea for you to use, let's say once or twice a week, and that is to get out in nature. Observing plants and animals in their natural state is an instantaneous spirit reconnect. You cannot look at the miracle of an oak tree knowing that it came from an acorn pushed through the earth as a tiny little shoot to become a majestic, enormous tree, and not be aware of the magic and the miracle and the spirit that surrounds us all the time. Likewise with animals, seeing them in their natural behavior, squirrels gathering up those acorns and burying them for the winter, or animals playing, birds singing, raccoons running in search of their next meal. All of these are ways that you can connect to divine energy and therefore your spirit. So find more ways to get out in nature, and don't just get out there and plunk yourself down on a bench and look at your phone. Get out there, plunk yourself down on a bench and watch and make note. And sometimes what I do to get in the flow of that is I say to myself, unless I'm the only one sitting there, and then I might say it out loud, that squirrel is doing this action, or that squirrel is running fast up the tree, or that tree is one of the biggest ones I've ever seen, or that grass looks so soft and green. I start to comment on it to really bring my attention to the present moment, to really help me focus on the magic, the mystery around me. That's a tool that I use, but whatever it is that helps you, maybe you want to bring a sketch pad with you and some colored pencils and draw what you see. Maybe you're artistic. Art is another form of channeling. Maybe you want to bring your journal with you and journal in the outdoors and take breaks in between your flow to pay attention to the sounds and the smells and the feel of the breeze on your skin and the feel of the sun at your back and the sparkle of the light on the water. Whatever it is, being present to that is the purpose of it. That's when you will feel that reconnection to spirit and that very deep, profound connection to divine energy. Another way for this reconnect to happen is through your food. Do you pay attention when you're cooking? Are you aware of how that celery feels as you're chopping it, of the crunch that it makes? Are you paying attention to the smell of the onions? Well, it's hard to ignore that, isn't it? Because they make us cry. But really tuning in to the experience of your creation of your meal or your family's meal or your snack. Preparing food is a creative pursuit. A lot of people are very creative in the way they combine ingredients, in the way they use seasonings. Even if you're just using a recipe, which is pretty much what I'm talented at, that is still creative. That is still creating something from a bunch of different singular things into a meal or a snack that is going to nourish your body and therefore nourish your soul and your spirit as well. So really pay attention through your sensory system to the smell, to the sight, to the taste, to the touch, to the way things sound as you are chopping them, or the sizzle of garlic in a pan of hot oil. Tune in. By tuning in, you elevate what is a mundane task at times into a more spirit-based task, into a creative pursuit, into a place of gratitude. Wonder about your food. Where did it come from? Who grew it? I'm so thankful for the earth for providing this food, for the farmer for gathering this food, for the truck driver for driving it to me, for the grocery store clerks who helped me determine how much I had to pay for it, however it is, or for growing it in your garden. That's another beautiful way to connect to spirit. Grow your food. See the magic of the seed to the shoot, to the plant, to the vegetable process. There is nothing more incredible, I think, and miraculous than watching plants come about, or watching animals, or watching birth. I happen to be a birth junkie because I'm a doula and a lactation consultant as well, and that's something really beautiful. It's miraculous. So find the miracles in your everyday. It is in those miracles that your spirit grows and takes joy and takes notice. Yoga, another great practice. I highly recommend yoga. Exercise in general is essential, of course, for health, for well-being, and I believe for reconnecting to spirit. Yoga is in a class of its own, however. There's so many types. There's so many different ways you can experience yoga, and I encourage you to try them on. Go to a new yoga studio. Try out a new class. Even if you love yoga and you're really wedded to a particular kind. I am really wedded to Kundalini. I have been doing Kundalini yoga for 9 years, and I love it. And in the last couple years, I have given myself the treat of trying out other styles and other forms of yoga. And guess what? I love those too. Each one is a little different. Each teacher does it a little bit differently. If you can't pay for a class or don't have time to, I also do them on YouTube, just using my phone. I do a little search on YouTube for a yoga set that has the amount of time that I have available. If I only have 20 minutes, I select one for 20 minutes. And I just try out different forms because each one kind of taps into a different area for you. But in general, yoga is about transcending your limited thinking, for not honoring that monkey mind that tells you to think about this or think about that or switch your thoughts, or why would you stay in this pose any longer? You're sore. You can just stop, to transcending that and saying, oh, no, I hear you, voice, but you're not guiding me. I'm guided by something deeper, something stronger, something more powerful. So I find yoga to be a beautiful way to connect to spirit. To that end, exercise is also essential, and I mean sustained cardiovascular exercise, whether you go for a walk, where a fast-paced walk, or you run, or you go to the gym. We as humans, and especially as empaths and highly sensitive beings, we absorb a lot of energy that's not our own. We tend to take on the energies of others or of situations that do not serve us, but take up residence in our physicality unless we get out and exercise. It's through that exercise that we move stagnant energy out of the body, that we release it. It really does need to be through regular exercise. So make sure you are getting regular exercise. The power of your manifestation is a really incredible tool that we all have. We all have the power to manifest what is of our deepest desires. This is worth you giving some thought to. What are your deepest desires? A lot of people are not in touch with that. They don't know. If asked that question, they're not sure how to respond. So ask yourself that question, what are my deepest desires? Sit with that, see what bubbles up, see where you receive excitement about that, journal about it, and then begin to manifest that. So perhaps your deepest desire is to cultivate a deeply meaningful, loving relationship, and you're not in one right now. And so getting clear on what that looks like, what that feels like. Some people even go to the place of imagining what that other person looks like and what they are like, and starting to manifest from that angle in that direction. But basically, manifestation is you claiming the experience that you want to have through going through the process of the imagination of what that would be like. Because remember, nothing has ever been created without first being imagined. So if you cannot imagine it, you are not really going to experience it. You are not going to have it if you can't take it to the place of the imagination. By the way, I believe that the imagination is where spirit resides. Our ability to see things in new ways, our ability to open up to the creative possibility of what is available to us, but what we haven't accessed yet, in the place of the imagination. This is where manifestation begins. So manifesting your deepest desires and starting with something on the smaller side, maybe to build your confidence in that direction. So maybe you don't go for the be all end all of relationships, your forever soulmate, for example, but maybe you manifest a meaningful relationship where you feel uplifted and where there's an energy exchange that feels really amazing to you. And that whole forever thing, you can put that aside, but you can manifest for right now what feels like a wonderful energetic exchange in a meaningful relationship. Manifestation is the spirit at work, is you connected to spirit and operating from that place, being spirit-led. The idea of using ritual and ceremony within ritual to reconnect to spirit is the last thing I'm going to talk about. This is something that has the power to change your entire existence. Did you know that we have the ability to elevate the most mundane of tasks in our lives? So let's take toothbrushing, for example. How many of you get so psyched to go brush your teeth? Crickets. I don't hear anybody. But what if that ritual, that daily thing that you do 2 or 3 times a day of oral hygiene, what if you elevated that? What if that was your time in prayer with the divine? What if while you brushed your teeth, you offered up prayers of gratitude, of thanks, of appreciation for whatever happened in your day or whatever you were feeling grateful for in that moment? You've just elevated a very mundane task into something more sacred, more special. You've created a ritual, an elevated ritual. You can do the same thing in the shower. tuning into your senses, what the water feels like, the temperature, how your body wash smells, how your shampoo smells, how it feels to rub your hair and clean your hair. Taking in through the senses and appreciating how lucky you are that you have running water, that you have warm water, that you have these bath products to use. It's endless, the gifts that we experience on a day-to-day basis that we never really tune into until we tune into them. And then that grows and expands our connection to spirit. That brings us to the present moment. That brings us to the gratitude. That brings us into appreciation, which is all about spirit. So the purpose and desire behind performing rituals, whatever those rituals might be, is to connect, to celebrate, and to show gratitude for life and its expression. Rituals, as I just mentioned, are included easily into your daily routines. See how you can get creative with this. What other routines that you just go about without thinking about it, half asleep most of the time, could you elevate by turning up the dial on your consciousness in that? Some ideas, which we have talked about some of these, are for ritual, are space clearing. Remember, clearing and lighting sage and smudging your area, offering gratitude, blessing your food, prayer, chanting, meditation, or deep listening. I want to share a quote that I love from Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, "We do spiritual ceremonies as human beings in order to create a safe resting place for our most complicated feelings of joy or trauma, so that we don't have to haul those feelings around with us forever, weighing us down. We all need such places of ritual self-keeping." I love this notion of having a safe resting place for these feelings, these experiences, these ways of thinking that might not and likely don't necessarily serve us in the way we're looking at them. Having an actual place to put them, having a soft resting place for those through creating ritual and ceremony, sacred ceremony, to honor that. So some examples also of sacred ceremony are fire ceremonies. The Native Americans do this all the time. Other cultures do as well. And something that I've guided some clients to do in the past is to have a ceremony where they're writing down what they're releasing and then burning it in a ceremonial fire, or just with a match in your sink. That's all you need for a ceremonial fire. But that process, that ritual, and that ceremony is honoring where you are in that moment, where you have come from, and where you're headed, what you are manifesting, what you are going to the place of imagination of. Honoring all of that through ceremony. Very, very powerful tool. I'm going to say a little bit now about meditation, because I think that we have a misunderstanding about meditation and who's successful at it and who isn't. And really, I don't ever see meditation as something that I'm ever successful at, and that's not my goal. My goal in my meditation practice is just to do it. And some days that's very easy to do. I feel like I'm craving it, I need it, I'm waiting for it, and I can't wait to get there. And I am able to drop in, and I have a little bit of gaps, just a little bit, a few seconds worth of gaps in between my thoughts. And when I come out of it, I feel refreshed. And other times, I dread it. I'm resentful of it. I feel beholden to it or burdened by it. And I do it anyways. And then there are times when I don't. When I just don't. And those days when I just skip out on my meditation practice, I feel like a crazy loon. I know that things are just spinning out of control, and I'm getting involved in things that I don't need to get emotionally involved in, or thoughtfully involved in with my thinking, and things are getting all just taking on an energy way out of whack. So, what I can tell you about meditation is it's worth your time to do it. It requires consistency, it requires commitment. Some days will be phenomenal, and other days won't be, and yet others will stink. And when I come out of a meditation that stinks, it's not even that I come out of it. It's that I'm aware that I didn't even do it. I sat there, I said the mantra maybe, or I listened to the guided meditation, but I never got there. I never really went into it or went deep enough or received the benefit from it. And sometimes it's just like that, and that's okay. Do not use that as an excuse not to meditate. You have so many things at your disposal to make meditation easy. On my phone, I have downloaded probably 4 or 5 different series of the Deepak Chopra, Oprah Winfrey guided meditations. They have 6 or 8 or 10 of them at this point, 21-day meditations. Each day is a different topic. I highly recommend those. You can pick which one fits you, which one you're working on. They're all different topics. I also sometimes will just play a song that I like that has a mantra to it. So I'm a fan of music that's played that has Sanskrit mantras. I find the Sanskrit language to be very spiritual, very elevating. Something about the sounds within the mantras are the vibration of those sounds help me and support me in elevating and sort of transcending as I'm meditating. So I might find a song that I love with a mantra that I can repeat. Sometimes I just sit and say a mantra to myself over and over. Sometimes I just sit and breathe. Sometimes I sit and breathe and I end up falling asleep. That's not really meditation, by the way, but it happens. I want you to have the understanding that simply your desire and commitment to meditate every day, 10 minutes, is something that will support you in staying connected to your spirit, even when you feel like you stink at it, even when you feel like you have failed. The practice of it does connect you. The practice of it naturally expands you. And it's like a signal to the universe that you're willing to take the time and the space to honor yourself as the spiritual being that you are, and blessings just flow in. This much I know for sure. Thank you for joining me for this series. It has been my honor and pleasure. I am delighted to share what I know about spirit connection and how we can reconnect to spirit and use that essentially to guide us on our journeys, because that, my friends, is what we're meant for. We are meant to be guided by spirit. Many blessings to you.